today I've got Gareth from Caroo. If you've ever spent any time on LinkedIn, at some point a video with some very bad singing and or comedic activity would have gone past you. And hopefully the end of it, you remember the big sort of logo which says Caroo. Gareth, introduce yourself, say hello.
Right, well, I'm Gareth. I'm part of the team at Caroo. And yeah, one of the many stars of some bonkers videos.
So I've got to start there, I guess. What, without sounding too grandiose, what's your motivation behind the videos? Because that's what your people associate you now with, cunning stunts, for want of a better word. My favourite actually was the pies, and I liked it because it was it was real. It was tangible and different, but also I could see why it was going to work for people because you physically went through the whole. You know, you videoed here's me making a pie, and then went out to meet a load of pie eaters and say, look, you're a pie eater, have a pie. Where do you get the ideas from? And I'm going to ask the other bit is, do they work?
Right, okay, so it's less about where the ideas come from and it's more about have they ever been done before? Mm-hmm. And are they, do they sort of fit the brand, which is, you know, a sourcing platform that operates in recruitment, that's agency free and in the North. And the first stunt was the pie one. And I remember sitting down with our creatives over a pint on a Friday saying, we need to do something different. And then they said, well, let's deliver pies because Northerners love pies. And it starts with a silly little comment like that. And then it snowballs into, right, now you've got to wear these ridiculous T-shirts that says we do two things well in the North, which is recruitment and eating pies. Yeah, wear a ridiculous hat and actually go into the offices on a Tuesday morning in 36-degree heat and a summery day, delivering very heavy pies. But I will tell you that they are the best pies in the country, as voted for by the country.
They did look very good pies. I mean, I said that's not a big pie here because honorary mank, not real mank, but it's, yeah, I could say they look good. The in reverse order, probably. So my pie is the favourite one. There's the traffic warden one, which I quite enjoy, and the more recent one of the busking one I quite like as well, only because of the look of just sort of pure amazement. The few people that did walk past, it wasn't exactly a busy day given it was lockdown, but genuine bemusement on people's faces, which I like. I think actually as as marketing goes, if you were a marketing director, or rather if a marketing director was working for you and they said, look at what we've done, you'd fire them. But because it's your business, you go, this is cool, I like this. And I like that actually, because I also take this the right way. It looks like you're going to do it no matter what, because you say it ticks your brand. Your measure of success isn't probably quite the same as other people because they look reasonably low budget.
To be honest with you, mate, they're designed to look low budget. We could go, you know, we could
quite difficult to pull off, though, isn't it?
And
there's a danger trying to make
polished.
It good.
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things that we always make sure that we're doing. So, has the idea ever been done? And if it's no, if it's weird and bonkers enough, then we do it. And we always make sure that people come first, so you can see it's me or the team, ourselves in precarious or odd situations, and then I think audiences relate to how they would react in those situations. So there's something like inherently relatable about that sort of stuff. And then it's the reactions of the public, like, why is that guy wearing a wig, singing badly, can't play a guitar, busking for app downloads rather than money? So there's something awkward in that people love to watch. But I think like why I think one of the reasons why our videos and our content work is because LinkedIn's a very noisy place, but it's a noisy place with a lot of the same stuff. And sometimes that can sort of put people off from investing in content and pushing it live, right? Because they're worried that it'll get lost in a sea of all this other stuff. But you've got to remember, this other stuff is sort of corporate, bland, boring stuff that you know, and that's a mountain of crap that you can just stand on and scream from. So, you know, in terms of getting cut through, you've actually got the perfect environment to get cut through for your own content if you're wading through a sea of shit. So
do you think people are scared? Because often I have this conversation with recruitment people. They are very, I guess it's maybe they're worried. They tend to be their lords and masters are worried that there'll be some sort of damage to impact and damage to brand. But I guess it's back.
Yeah, like,
are you on brand or not? What does your brand stand for?
People adhere to brand guidelines. I can tell you, I'm 3 years deep in the Caroo game, and I've still not developed a Caroo brand guideline. So, you know, you get you get stuck to these like processes and these Bibles and things, and it's just, you don't, if you stick to the same guidelines, how do you ever test, push boundaries and learn what's going to work, right? So so we don't really have that sort of brand guidelines. I mean, people are, I think there is a turning point coming soon, at which some point that people will be a little bit more willing to try things. And you know, some of the stuff that's happened for us recently is that we've got brands actually approaching us, asking us to do their content for them.
I'll ask you about that, because you've got a reputation for creating, I won't say edgy, but, you know, content that isn't the norm. That must be that people go, well, you've obviously got that mindset. Here's our product. Make us look cool, please.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to even be like the same style as Caroo. It doesn't have to be, you know, about being cool, for example, but there are unique selling points, or there are pain points that you've got to overcome to attract talent, right? So what we'll do is we'll work with you on how we address those challenges and those pain points. So if location is something, I'm sure we can come up with something bonkers to address the idea of location. Or you know, if you want to attract salespeople, we can certainly come up with content that relates to that. So we've had a few brands engage with us on, well, can we work together on creating content? And for me, that's like, well, it's win-win. Yeah, 100%. Let's do it. We'll even chip in for some of the cost if we're going to co-brand it or use it. And then on that, part of our product development over the last few months is we've actually built a content feed for candidates to consume content from brands direct. And the reason for doing that was I was testing LinkedIn on whether or not I could build an audience, a professional audience within a specific function. So I chose to focus on a particularly competitive environment within Manchester, which is Manchester JavaScript developers, right? Or Java developers rather. Yeah. So I figured, right, I'm going to produce some content that I know that that sort of audience would like to consume. I'm going to push it out and see where it goes. So I pushed out organically and it didn't get much traction, as you would expect. Yeah. It's not, you know, a ridiculously bonkers video of us up on a cherry picker holding that sign, for example.
Yeah.
So then I had to pay to promote that to reach the right people. And it cost me 56 quid per click. So when I got to 11 clicks and £600 deep, I was like, let's just can that.
About that. Yeah, yeah.
It's not viable for anybody. So your distribution on the content that you're producing, well, you're very, very limited unless you've got very deep pockets. And that to me just doesn't feel right, because we're all trying to differentiate ourselves in very competitive markets. So I figured, well, seeing as we're going to spend a shitload of cash building a massive professional audience, what we'll do is we'll enable brands to differentiate themselves through content. So you can now put content onto Caroo and target it at specific audiences. So it's not posting a job. You do that and you pay for that. This I've just built free because it's beta. So, you know, jump on it, use it, whatever. But invariably what we're trying to do is say, right, well, if you want to target talent acquisition specialists, well, then go do that. But if you want to target software developers who are skilled in .NET, AWS, containerization, etc., so on and so forth, then you can also do that. And we'll just enable you to tag the attributes of the people that you want to see that content. So I think for us, that's a really nice value add. And plus, it's not going to be necessarily under the scrutiny of your brand director. So you might have the ability to be a little bit more creatively free, shall we say.
That makes sense to me. I mean, is that the secret, do you think, to good recruitment? So, you know, you've talked about Caroo as being around for 3 years now. You've obviously met lots of people, seen lots of people. I'm continually amazed / disappointed the number of people I still meet who go, well, this is how recruitment is. And it is. You post a job on LinkedIn. I won't name names, but I met a chief exec for a large advertising firm last year. Look at my LinkedIn, you work it out. And that was the view. It said, this is recruitment. Don't come with me with content management and content marketing and a bunch of other things. Hang a job on LinkedIn. That'll get people.
It's not very interesting, is it? And I think
as you say, it's a noisy old place. Yeah, we both love LinkedIn. We're both in there. We have to be in there, but it is a noisy place. Differentiating yourself in a noisy place is always difficult. I think, what are they claiming now? There's 700 and something million accounts. I say accounts rather than people, because I do think there's a subtle difference there. But even if you assume that only half those accounts are real, that's a huge target audience. And
you can't reach any of them unless you pay for it. Like, this is the thing about social media algorithms, isn't it? That It's great for viral if you can produce viral content. But let's be honest, me talking about the cool things that we do with our algorithms, not cool viral content, right?
No, agreed.
Be interesting to everybody. So the fact that you could reach a few thousand software developers in Manchester on my platform is probably far more valuable than sticking your content on LinkedIn.
I'd agree, and I think it's interesting. I'm still not sure that people get that. I mean, funny enough, I've spent 1,000 years in recruitment. Probably it feels like 1,000 years. I'm still, you're a platform, and I think that's the subtle difference. It's about, Caroo is a platform. I mean, there are obviously other platforms out there, but your main competitor tends to be job boards. But by default, I suspect, and maybe you can help me out, is that people look at you and go, "Oh, it's just another job board," and they already know what job boards are like, because job boards sell on volume. They say, "Yeah, we get 1,000 clicks now, a million CVs will come into your inbox."
Yeah.
Which, as you say, is the last thing as a recruiter actually wants. I'd much rather see 3 amazing CVs for anyone I could hire, because I want them, as opposed to 1,000 CVs where I've got to find the 3 I really want.
And that's I think that's the nice thing about our platform is, okay, fine. You can look at it as a far more sort of engaging type of job with information that's not dissimilar, but presented in a different, more sort of consumer friendly way. And then we have some nice interactions with that, rather than just producing endless lists of job titles, right? But our employers are never inundated, because the focus for us is all about relevancy. So we're quite happy to have an employer saying, I've had nothing through this week, and then next week they get a couple of good quality candidates. Like that's how the system is built. It's not, you go and post a job on Indeed, and I did it just last week to test the flow of developers. So I went again for senior Java, and actually they stipulated, the number of years experience required. I asked for only Manchester, and then none of the people I got were from Manchester. But within the first 24 hours, sure enough, I got 8 or 9 Java developers, none of which were really any good. And for the 2 weeks after, where I was spending money, I didn't get anything. So that's not really how our platform works. It's like, put a job up and let's get the candidates flowing. So I want to invariably, I just don't think that a job description should be the only piece of content that you push live that can stimulate a conversation about an opportunity. Does that make sense?
It does, because I think I'm preaching to the converter. I get that. I mean, again, using this advertising business is a good example. They sold. They did advertising for some large 4x4s. The average moment of interest to actual purchase of a large 4x4 was about 18 months. So I'd say that it was the same thing for a job. Substitute the word 4x4 for a job. Don't go hitting them now with jobs, because that's actually what they were doing. It was the same thing. It's like slapping around saying, "Here's a job, here's a job, here's a job." Yeah. Whereas actually they want to be engaged over here, and go, actually, when I next move, that I want to come and see you, because you've got my interest. You've over the time you've shared information which I think is really relevant. I'm interested. I'm engaged. I'm now bored of X, Y, and Z, or I hate my manager. I'm looking for a job. I'm going to come and automatically come to you, because it's like nowhere else. But I still don't think the world gets it, weirdly, for all our good talk and going out there and saying, "Hey, do it as a new way." I'm still continually amazed that recruiters are in-house and agency are still fixed to this same model of, "I'll do this." Partly, I think it's partly. I've often wondered if it's that safety net that nobody actually wants, the empty inbox almost, is that safety net of, I've posted a job on Indeed. Oh, look, stuff's happening. And I'm almost, I can say to people, "Oh, it's okay, everybody. We're going to hire some because stuff's happening," even if none of that stuff is relevant. You're better off going for 2 weeks with absolutely nothing happening and some ideal person appearing in front of you, because that's just what's happening.
Yeah, we did a test recently with someone, and we trialed LinkedIn, Indeed, and Caroo, and through Indeed they got a lot of stuff, like a lot. This is over a 2-week period. So they spent about 220 quid on LinkedIn and about 212 quid on Indeed. So it was really interesting to see that the price was relatively similar. At this point, our platform was free, but let's assume they're paying now, and that would have cost them 150 quid, unlimited use of the system. We recommended 3 candidates over that 2-week period, and one of them got the job. Indeed produced circa 30 candidates, and LinkedIn produced 18. They interviewed 3 or 4 from LinkedIn. They didn't interview any from Indeed. and they considered all 3 profiles from Caroo and interviewed 2. So for me, as far as we're still early days, right? We're only 18, 20 months old, so we're still working out various bits and pieces of our algorithm and the experience. But as far as that goes for me, I think we're on the right track in terms of proving that this is the way forward.
Well, yeah, it sets up your for the other experience. I can get a load of candidates in, but actually, if I don't want them, I'm now going to tell them I don't want them. I've created a load of other challenges around my candidate experience, haven't I? Which says, Christ, I have to reject a load of people.
Yeah.
That, as we know, organisations are really bad at saying thanks, but no thanks. Even if it's automated, it's just a bit crap.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather avoid it, to be honest. I'd rather
you're spending money you're spending money to cost yourself more money. That's the way I view it. Your time is the most precious commodity. You won't get that back. Money you can make, but you won't get time back. And then on the point of candidate feedback, like, you know what I'm like, mate. As much as we do ridiculous stunts and videos, I'm a bit of a dreamer. So my ambitions for the Caroo platform are well beyond what it does now. So I have this vision. There are some industry pain points that really get on my nerves because I've experienced them, and I've met countless people, probably 99% of the people, who've said the same pain points. Which, one of the things is that I'd rather just have a no than never hear anything. And I'd love it if I got feedback. So now we're in research and development about how we can enable that through our platform. Now, obviously, if I'm only recommending maximum 10 candidates, then that becomes more manageable. So already we're helping to solve that issue. But then if you're going to reject 8 or 9 of those, well, then we can produce a few standardized messages or automated messages, and we can manage that expectation. I don't think we have to cure the illness per se, but we actually have to be able to manage expectations to a point where people are happy. And I don't think that's insurmountable, certainly when you've got technology there. So we've got research and development into an employer application, which effectively will act as an extension of our platform to enable you to have a WhatsApp chat with, it's a WhatsApp style chat with candidates. So you'll know as soon as you've got candidate interest, you'll be able to speak to them, you'll be able to upload attachments, so on and so forth. So we've got a hell of a lot of information. And there's things like, one of the ones I'm really excited about is we might not have jobs necessarily for you right now, but if this job was available at this brand, and that's calculated based on your interests and based on your skill set, would you apply for it? Yeah. Right. This is not like rocket science stuff, but
that future
jobs available.
It's just
So we can then start to build. I don't like using the word talent pool, but we can start to build a database of people. I don't like the word database; it's a bit old school as well. But
a bucket. Oh no, that's wrong.
Build interest around roles.
Shoebox of people.
Yes, but we can then start to build really relevant pools of talent around certain jobs, and that for us then drives retention from a candidate perspective. So there's a hell of a lot of stuff that's been happening with us over the last 6 or 7 months. There's the new, what we call attract and engage. And I called it that, and it sounds cheesy now, but I only called it that because I thought A&E sounded funny. So now you've got this ability to post content targeted at people so that you can differentiate yourself. And the view for that in the future is that actually it's not dissimilar to what you were talking about when you were selling a Jeep. I'm really, I used to work in retail technology solutions and e-commerce platforms and stuff. So we used to look at, right, how many times, what's the number of instances you have to have with a particular product in order for you to purchase it. Now, you've just told me that to do 4x4s, it's 18 months, whereas we used to work to a rule of about 6 or 7 engagements with a product before they purchased it, right? So I'd really like to understand what's that experience with a professional that can not condition them, but provide them with the right information at the right times to say, hey, we think this could be the perfect opportunity for you. And then just sort of trying to help people progress their careers, really.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I won't name names. I mean, there are products out there which are trying to do the same thing on there. The Scottish man with a big beard who wears a kilt. He's got a talent relationship.
I mean, we're miles away from that at the moment.
But that's a similar idea, isn't it? Because again, they're about content distribution and engagement levels and actually monitoring that. And so actually, yeah, they've started to capture some of that pure data, which actually does say, lo and behold, it's different for different job types and different job locations and whatever, which is what you'd expect. But, I look at things differently, and to you, who looks different to whatever. And if you can tailor that, that's actually the holy grail to me. That you could tailor content that almost I know I'm receptive to it.
Yeah.
Which means actually I'm engaged with it. Which actually means I'm likely to tell you I'm looking for a job, please, and I'm up for it, and whatever else. I said that we're going to sort of avoid coronavirus sort of navel gazing. It sounds like you've been really busy through this time. The other bit, last time I think we spoke was something like sort of March, April time. The model you were going to do was a chargeable model, and at the time you were like, we're going to have to park that. But ultimately, if you're parking your chargeable model, it means your R&D spend suddenly starts to look a bit flaky, doesn't it? Because you've obviously relied on there's going to be some income coming in at one point. Where are you with that? What's the sort of the next 6 months look like?
Usually, well, in a usual world, you'd be led to believe that, but we are Caroo, so we do things a bit different. As of May, I doubled my investment into R&D.
Okay.
So we basically paused on our candidate acquisition and our employer acquisition. We took all of the data that we'd amassed and all of the feedback that we collated, and we acted on it. And that's when I'm not going to list off all of the things that we've added into the platform, but tiny little things about how you improve an anonymous candidate's profile. So providing more information and more insight into that person and as to why you should speak to them. We actually allowed people to start adding CVs, because it turns out it's thousands of years old, that word, and you can't get rid of it much as we tried. We added a hell of a lot of stuff to improve the core platform, and we changed the algorithm probably 5 or 6 times during that period. And now we've got to a place where we're really happy with it. We've also then designed an interactive prototype for where our candidate experience goes next. Okay. So that's what we'll start building next year. And then we took a lot of time out to research and develop this attract and engage feature, because basically I noticed personally that it was too expensive to do the whole content piece to build an audience. And it turns out that employers have content that they need to distribute and can't get it in front of the right people. So, we only released that probably back end of September. So we're now going to start pushing that a bit heavier now that we've got some tests done on it and there's some content going into it. So yeah, we doubled our investment into R&D. Doubled. It was about 90%. So we invested more into the technology and the experience. We've also built our product roadmap for next year. And then we started back up September for candidate acquisition, which is also really, really exciting now. Before, we were sort of like banging the drum, everybody get on Caroo, and it was less targeted. Now we've sort of deeply integrated a mobile marketing attribution platform that enables us to look at specific candidate profiles within the app, look at specific job requirements, and then go out to the sort of B2C channels that we use to acquire people. And we've halved that cost, despite the fact that we're still going after a skill set that's generally quite expensive to acquire. So we've halved our cost on candidate acquisition. We're far more targeted in that. So we don't need as many candidates as we wanted. We wanted to get tens of thousands. Actually, we don't need that many. We just need to be making sure that we acquire the ones that fit the jobs that have been posted. So we've done a lot, mate. We've done a lot, and we started the monetization soft launch of our monetization as of September, and we've had good uptake on that. And we've priced it a bit differently, so there are no contracts, and you can use the platform unlimited in its entirety, and it'll cost you £149 per month. So you can have 30 days, post as many jobs as you want, speak to as many people, hire as many people, etc., etc. Or if you sign up pre-Christmas, we'll give you the whole of 2021 for £1,490, and we'll throw in account management support as well. So that's another thing that we did. We added an account management function.
Yeah,
we've been
busy. I mean, it's the thing we said, we talked before we hit the record button. You've been busy. I've always been told to quit while you're ahead, and I'm going to quit while we're ahead. On the basis that people do get bored. They've got a threshold of how much they can consume on YouTube. I know that typical RCIRCLE viewer has a 14.5-minute capacity, which is far, far, far greater than me. So
I'm surprised you get. I had somebody complaining about our Star Wars spoof the other day, which was 4 minutes long.
I know, it's at least, it was 3.5 minutes too long, mate. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I didn't talk about Star Wars on either. So with that, I'm going to say, Gareth, thank you so much for spending some time with RCIRCLE this morning. Don't forget, everybody, you can subscribe. You can see Gareth in different guys on something we did before. You can see lots of other people doing interviews, but do hit the subscribe button because that's what it's all about. See you soon.
What else was I going to say? Are you going to edit these videos? Because